Hello and welcome to another edition of Video Games to the Max. I am your host, Sean Garmer. Here with me, as always, Mr. Marc Morrison.
Howdy.
Well, today, if you haven't figured it out, there's a movie that is breaking box office records. We're gonna discuss here today the Super Mario Brothers movie, and of course, what could come after with the Super Mario Brothers movie's success and all of that. There's some other more minor news as well to discuss, and we'll keep talking about some games we're playing, all of that, and more after this.
You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
And well, just to get this out of the way, if this is your first time joining us or your 100th time joining us, we appreciate you either way. Thank you for being here live watching or watching later on demand, which you can do so on the YouTube channel, W7 Network, or you can watch on Twitch, W7 Network, or Twitter, Facebook, all those places, the same thing. You can also catch us on demand, W10 Network on that channel. Hit follow, hit like, hit subscribe, ring the bell. So anytime there's a show, you get it when we post it. And of course, when you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you don't just get what we do here. You get what everybody else does at the network. So you get the Rally to Broadcasting folks, which I'm pretty sure tomorrow, or pretty much as you're watching or listening to this, there will be a Damn You Hollywood review of the Super Mario Brothers movie. They're going to be looking at it from both the perspective of a video game movie, and then also because they do movies all the time, they're going to be looking at it as how does it stack up as a movie, which very different takes on that as we've seen this week. And well, they also do bundle music, they do TV shows, all this other stuff. We got Todd the Cake, he does anime. We got MMA from Marc, who does the MMA, obviously. That wrestling show and all that and more. So that's why you subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you just like listening or hearing any of those shows, you can just go find them individually on whatever podcatcher you like on the audio side, and you get whenever they release a show. Whenever we release a show, just find us on Video Games to the Max. You listen to us there. Chapter Select with Randy and Jens just came out with a look at the original Mario Brothers movie. So if you feel like getting some big nostalgia there for 1993, you can go listen or watch what they had to say on a special version of the Mario Brothers movie that had some extra stuff in it. So that being said, Marc, you have not watched it yet, but
No, I did.
Oh, you did? You watched it?
Yeah, I saw it
Okay,
today.
cool. Awesome. So,
Well,
you told me you were gonna watch it like Tuesday or Wednesday, so I didn't know if you'd watched it or not.
nope, I saw it today.
Great. So I saw it yesterday, and I saw it in the 4DX. So it was my first time watching anything in the 4DX thing. We have one of those, I think, in Miami. So it was cool getting to see it that way. I don't know if I can watch an action movie in a different way now, because it's like being on that Spider-Man ride from Universal, the whole movie, basically.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. But I guess general thoughts on the movie. What did you think?
That is fine. The only thing I was kind of let down by was the humor, like some of it. But on the whole, like, it was good.
What let you down on the humor side?
Just that, like, Illumination, I think this company that did it, like, the penguins felt like minions, or
Right.
the suicidal, not Starry, but Luma was like weird,
It was definitely what you wouldn't expect when you're thinking about like the big character you have from Mario Galaxy, and it's a star that just wants to die pretty quick.
Yeah. Also, like, all the songs, like all the pop songs were like really bad or like really on the nose. So it's Like, really, do we really need a hero in this movie? Like,
I guess we did. I thought that was actually, for the most part, looking at it as a video game adaptation. I thought they nailed all of that. They nailed everything as far as being a Mario movie, as being all the references that you get. The character, I thought all the actors and actresses did well in this movie. I didn't have a gripe about anybody.
I thought,
yeah.
Seth Rogen kind of phoned it in somewhat.
I mean, Seth Rogen basically said in an interview he only does one voice, which is himself.
Right.
So as soon as they say that,
it's like, okay, why don't you get someone who can do multiple voices or do some, you have a few actors in this thing that are voice actors for real. So
they wanted to pay for having Seth Rogen's voice, which, I mean, he's not stranger to animated films or, those kind of films. So he's you can't expect him to be like Jack Black, I think, who decided that he was just going to eat the whole role and it's become now I can't think of Bowser in another way without thinking of Jack Black. He totally like went for it with that role, which is great because you don't really, if you don't play, I think if you haven't played like the GBA or the Mario and Luigi games, you really don't get a lot of Bowser's personality.
Mario RPG.
Yeah, some of that too. But I think like if you're just you've only played like the the numbered Mario games or something like that.
Right.
You kind of just see Bowser as the big bad guy. You don't know that he's like this big nerdy doofus or whatever. And you get a lot of that personality. Jack Black brings that out a lot in this movie. And I thought Chris Pratt was fine. Charlie Day I thought was great as Luigi, even though you don't get to see a lot of them. And
I would have liked his voice to be a little higher pitched, but that's me.
And I mean, Keegan-Michael Key was fantastic as Toad, just because like I would never thought that that's him doing that. So
it would have been funny if Luigi, because like when he gets warped to like the dark place, or to the Bowser castle, if he just had a vacuum, like that was his plumbing tool. It's a vacuum. Like
you were exactly you were saying on the nose. That I think that would have been too much on the nose for the. They were already kind of hinting at it with where he went, which is fine. But yeah,
I thought the one that was actually really good. I thought was Anna Taylor-Joy was like really good, like shockingly so, because he doesn't like do voice work or
Yeah, you don't hear her do that. Probably was one of her first like voice roles, and a lot of times everything she does is very serious. So like the first time you really get to hear her have a little bit of comedy,
like I Chris Pratt wasn't bad, but like I like his Lego movie voice was better. Or that was more of just him, but he had like more energy to that role, I thought.
Right. Trying not to be spoilery here. I think having the popular music in there, I think, is the one concession that they made to. Okay, we know there's going to be adults in here that don't.
But
Mario.
Here's the thing: is most adults who've seen that, who are going to see this movie, know Mario.
Right, and I the only one that I really had a problem with was Take On Me when I guess that's Funky Kong shows up to give them the ride to the Kong castle or the Kong area, and I was like, there's actually a track that if you listen to the soundtrack, which you can actually listen to on Spotify or other places right now, Brian Tyler did a fantastic job in that, and they have like a DK, not the DK rap that plays in the movie.
Yeah, they have like a version of it, or
like another DK track that plays.
Yeah, and
it would have been awesome to hear that as a video game fan instead of the Take On Me that we've heard a million times. I thought Need a Hero was fun. I mean, Need a Hero, the problem with Need a Hero is that they play that in like every freaking movie. So you hear it so much that it's like, oh, really? Again?
Yeah, that's my point. Yes.
And like, I think Thunderstruck too, it was just kind of like, did we really need that to...
Yeah,
so they could select the carts,
One of the Thor movies, it's like, all right, I'm good for the next 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, like the cart theme that they were already playing before you get to them playing Thunderstruck was already pretty cool as it was. Like, I don't think you needed that, but the only time it really took me out of it was Take On Me. Other than that, I thought it was fine for the most part, and I kind of like accepted that that's going to be there. I mean, when you did have the Mario music in there, that was fantastic. Always.
Yeah.
I mean, the orchestrations of that music is great. The little hints that you got, the little references, the cool thing, and the whole pizzeria being a whole reference by itself.
Like the little Punch Out guys, they were all around the arcade machine.
The guy that's sort of the villain of the movie before you get to Bowser, which is a really awesome reference from before Mario and Luigi were who they are, was really cool. I did not expect that at all. So, there's if you don't know what I'm talking about, you just watch this movie. The guy that plays Spike is actually from an old NES game called The Wrecking Crew, which Mario and Luigi are as characters in, but they're not, they're not starring in their own game at that point. And that's what he's referencing. Oh, you left me to go start your own thing. So yeah, it's cool that they put that in there. Did not expect that at all.
They should have had Richard Edison voice the character though.
Sure, they could have done
or
that.
Edson, sorry.
Did
you out of curiosity, I mean, did you see the John Leguizamo thing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. As a Latino person, I don't really think we needed to have a token Latino voice in there. It's like, it doesn't fit.
The problem with that is there are 2 Latino actors in the fucking movie. First of all,
yeah, but yeah, the thing is, like, do we need to have them? What did they need to act Latino? Is that what it is? It's like, we don't. Maybe they're not. Just
let's be honest. John Leguizamo's mad about the movie because John Leguizamo's not in the movie. Like, you should just say that.
But I mean, it is what, like, you could make the case that Nintendo didn't need to go after any of the stars that they went to for that movie.
Right.
They could have just gotten a bunch of no names or a bunch of just known voice actors, right? And said, okay, you guys can do these roles, and have Charles Martinet do Mario, and they could have gotten the whole Nintendo cast and just do it, right? The same people that
Charles Martinet and Jen Taylor, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, they could have done that if they wanted to. Everybody would have gone to see it anyway. But knowing that those actors are those voices and they actually do them pretty well, I think helps the movie, obviously. And then, it's for how short it was. I enjoyed the crap out of it. Sure, there's not a plot. Let's be honest. But it's a Mario movie. Is there really a plot in a Mario movie? A Mario game? I mean, again, other than the Mario RPG or Mario and Luigi's story,
what about
or
the deep plot of Mario Party 5, man? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Mario's missing. That's what we needed.
Yeah.
So
a whole movie.
The only thing I wanted more of Luigi and Mario. And I hated that they were split the whole movie, but I guess it is what it is for them wanting to tell the one kind of thread of story that they had, which was that they're the 2 brothers and they can do everything together. When they are together, nothing can hurt them or whatever. And it's it does kind of make the ending a little bit more impactful that he wasn't around the whole time. But like, they didn't. They didn't force feed the Mario and Peach relationship, or actually, I appreciated the whole thing with Donkey Kong and Mario when that happened. But that's the only thing I would say is, like, I wish there was about 15 or 20 more minutes of the movie so you could spend more time with them. But watching it from a perspective of, like, I'm going to go with my daughter tomorrow, and she doesn't really know. I guess she knows what who Mario is and who these characters are, but she's not like a fan of the games or whatever. And from that perspective, she's about to be 12. The movie constantly being fast moving and everything probably benefits a lot for the kids. You can take it to multiple viewings and it doesn't feel like it takes forever. There's never time for you to get bored. from the moment you think something's gonna linger, it moves on. So you can go and sit there and be like, okay, that was an hour and a half. Let's go. We can go again, some other day or whatever. Yeah, I enjoy the crap out of it. Like I think as a video game movie, this is what you should have had in '93, and I think that's kind of it. Like Nintendo didn't want to make sure they wanted to make sure they didn't mess this up.
I mean, you can't say that because there are two vastly different mediums.
They're still movies though. Like
yeah, except one is basically a cartoon and one is live action. Like you couldn't have
right,
live
but
action
I mean
movie.
they and the technology was different, obviously as well. But it's like I don't know. It wasn't good. Even they knew it wasn't good before they put out that movie in '93. They just had to put it out at that point. But at least now they're able to kind of remedy that. The directors knew what they needed to do. They said they didn't want to repeat that again. They wanted to make a really good movie. And if there's one thing I'm going to remember about this movie for a long time is how beautiful it looks. Like that is some of the best animation I think we've seen in a movie that's not like an anime or whatever. Like that is some tremendous animation they pulled off in this movie. So hats off to everybody. I'm not saying it's a 10 out of 10 film. There's nothing wrong with it. There is stuff wrong with it if you look at it as a movie. Like I said, no plot. There's really not a lot of character development. Like you said, some of the jokes fall pretty flat. If you're not a Mario or Nintendo fan, you're probably going to be bored to hell with this movie. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if there's a lot here for people that aren't gamers or Mario fans or Nintendo fans. Like there's very little. Like I kind of told my, because I usually go to movies with my girlfriend or whatever. I kind of told her, I was like, I think you want to skip this one because you're going to be bored. You're not going to understand really what's going on. There's not a lot here for you. This is not a Disney or Pixar film where you can watch it and kind of get it, Like what do you that's the one main critique. I've listened to a bunch of podcasts of movie critics reviewing this film, and they all kind of have the same feeling of there's like Disney, Pixar, DreamWorks that show you how you can do an animated movie, and they didn't do that. So therefore this movie failed. Like, do you think they have a point in that they should have learned from all that and been able to make Mario the same way? Or
no, because then it's just becomes some plug and play, or the same movie just with different characters and setting. Like I don't know, did you see the trailer for I think it's called Elemental, the new Pixar movie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it looks just boring as shit. It's because it's just like, okay, another Pixar movie in some fantastical setting, but just some meet cute between like two different opposing sides.
Right, and it's going to have a story and a big theme or whatever.
Yeah, there'll be some moment where like the fire elemental gets pissed, or it strikes out on her own, and the water elemental has to like come rescue her or do some bullshit.
Right,
and it's like, yeah, okay, I've seen that 1,000 times before. I'm good.
Yeah, I think that is.
Go ahead, this thing is plenty formulaic on its own. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like it's just a basic hero's journey type of story. Only like the damsel in distress is the Italian brother in distress. But,
yeah, that too. What did you think about the way they portrayed Peach in this movie? It's not,
she's fine.
The typical way.
I mean, it's weird because like they don't expand upon her about like they have that like one scene where she's like, oh, I don't know where I came from, but it's like, well, okay, that's not like, where is that from? Okay,
Yeah, I just kind of came here by myself, and the Toads took me in, and then there's galaxies out there. I could be from any of them.
It's also like weird, like why would the Toads make her the princess?
Well, they kind of explained that, right? Because they raised her. I mean,
that's not like nobility is not passed on that way. Or it's not
I mean, it's not like we haven't seen this. It's like a pretty Disney thing, like
but like when Disney princess when they become a princess, it's usually, oh, my father was the king. only that didn't happen here. So it's like, what?
Right.
Maybe they just elect royalty based on tallness, and she's the tallest one, so they're like, all right.
I mean, wouldn't Belle technically be a princess for the same reasons, right? She helped the Beast become
Well, yeah, but she married his
docile.
ass.
Well, she married him, but I'm saying like she was basically given the princess title because she grew with the whole family inside of the castle and all that stuff. It's not a tale we haven't heard before, but I guess it's better than saying, "Oh, there was some King Toad, and because I was the only like female in the whole universe, I was given the princess title." Like, I mean, at least they tried to give it some kind of semblance of something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I said, I'll be excited to see what my daughter thinks tomorrow when I see it again. And it's one that I'm excited to see again because I know there's references that I missed. I'm not gonna go. Yeah, I'm not gonna go over all that. I don't want to spoil that for people, but there's plenty.
I don't know about you. Did you already? I mean, I already pre-ordered this thing for like home release.
I haven't pre-ordered it. I know I'm gonna buy it as soon as it shows up because I'm gonna want to be able to watch it over and over. All that.
I know Best Buy had a steelbook that was kind of okay looking, kind of plain, but Walmart's is awesome because you get this like collectible tin star. It looks rad as shit, and I'm like, hell yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, any other like thoughts on anything that like? Do you agree? Like, did you think Jack Black was the best part of the movie, or?
Yeah, although I mean, I guess the Peachy song is a little goofy.
Yeah.
Or he kept calling her Peaches. I mean, that's not her name.
Right.
Like, that's really
it's
weird.
not, but it works for the song, right? Which is like, as soon as I heard that song, I went with a bunch of friends from work, and we all couldn't stop singing the song afterwards. So it worked in what they wanted you to do, which was have that catchy tune that you think about and makes you think about the movie. And it could technically be up for an Oscar now, I guess. So,
yeah, I saw it with a friend, and like, she didn't like the movie as much. I mean, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10 personally.
Yeah,
but she didn't like the movie as much because like she didn't like the plot of Bowser trying to marry the princess, and I was just like, that's the game, or like that's how they're doing the games nowadays. Like that is like directly like Mario Odyssey.
I mean that's why he had the wedding suit from Mario Odyssey. He had this is in the trailer, so unless you just haven't seen any trailers, there's the trailer with Bowser and the wedding dress, wedding thing and everything. So that's straight out of Mario Odyssey, which is the most recent Mario game. So it's not like it's not been done before. I mean,
like she didn't like. Go on.
Before he just kidnapped the princess, so it was like, or that's what he would do. So it's like at least they, didn't get that to happen. I guess.
Yeah, she also didn't like that. Like Mario and Luigi basically come from the real world. And I was like, that's from the cartoon as well as the movies. Like,
yeah.
And then I showed her like the old ass like 1989 cartoon, and she was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Yeah." Like,
well, yeah. I mean, they do the whole Mario rap from that cartoon,
right?
So,
like her only frame of reference from Mario really is like Mario 64.
Okay.
So she was like, "It should be more like the games," and I was like, this thing's plenty.
How much more like the games do you want? I mean, they literally have references to the games everywhere in that movie.
But
I mean,
that's the thing. She has like one game and that's it. So that's the only thing.
But all the games have the same story. Mario is going to go save the princess. I mean, like, what?
I mean, Mario 64 is kind of an outlier because like that game doesn't actually have a lot of traditional Mario stuff in it.
Yeah.
Compared to like Mario World or some of the like newer ones,
right?
So she knows like the metal suit, for example, but she doesn't know like the cape. So that's more
which is from Mario World,
or like the Fire Flower,
Yeah,
but I know a lot of Mario, and I'm sure you do too. So,
right?
It's plenty good to me.
But you got all the cool things from Mario in this movie.
I didn't see. We didn't stay till the end of the movie. I guess there's some after credit sequence.
Yes, there's two of them, but yeah.
We saw one of them where Bowser's in like the
Mm-hmm.
bowl or whatever, but she missed like the Yoshi. There's a scene
Yeah.
of Yoshi in the movie, like halfway through, and she like missed that. So she was like, "Oh, it would have been nice to see Yoshi." And I'm like, he wasn't in there, but Yoshi's were in the
there
movie
was
for
a
sure.
Yoshi, right?
Yeah.
In the,
No, there's like a whole stampede of them. Like,
well, yeah, because they showed Yoshi's Island as part of the worlds
right.
or whatever that are part of the
That's
Mario.
kind of the weird. That was like the weird thing to me is how they, because like functionally, like how Mario this movie is, like how it relates to like travel is like Sonic.
Right.
So that's like the weird thing to me is like, oh, all of these worlds are somehow connected, and you can just like teleport yourself there. Like, at what point?
Well, I mean, they didn't teleport. They literally showed them walking through each one of them.
Well, no, I mean like the pipe system.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, I guess you
like,
could
teleport, you know, but it's like, at what point is like Sonic gonna bust open a ring and just teleport to Mario World and go like, hey, let's go race around this track and win an Olympic sport.
I mean, that's the whole point, right? He could technically, like, from the warp, he could warp from the real world to the Mushroom Kingdom whenever he wants. But I did appreciate, even though, you know, they fast tracked it, obviously, because this movie is not, you know, 2 hours long, going through the various worlds and everything does lead you to, you could have this or this for the sequel or whatever. So, yeah, I would also give it around an 8 out of 10. Again, love the movie. Obviously there are things that it could have done better to be a perfect movie, if you want to call it that. But as far as what, like, Nintendo's first shot at this in 30 years or whatever, you got to give them credit for absolutely. They held Miyamoto's name is everywhere in this. Like, definitely he had a hand in a lot of what this is, and you know,
I mean, this movie was visually fine and the voice acting was good, obviously, but from a pure movie standpoint, I would say like I like Detective Pikachu more.
Well, yeah, that has a plot.
Yeah.
Right. It has a sequence from beginning to end that you can understand. There's
I mean,
people
so does
to care
this.
about.
I mean, trying to stop Bowser, or, you know, the whole plot is basically that, but it is made from like character perspective, or
you spend more time with those characters, right? You learn the backstory of the kid and everything else. Like, the Pokemon are there to kind of be like, oh, they're the spectacle, and then you also kind of understand the Pokemon side of things from when Mewtwo shows up. So,
or it would have been, I mean, I know they would never do this, but it would have been interesting in this movie if it was like Roger Rabbit, where like Mario and Luigi are real, or like Brooklyn is real, but when they get zapped to Mushroom Kingdom, then it's all CGI.
Yeah, I guess they could have done that, but I probably would have thrown people off there. Yeah, I did love the fact that we got to meet like the Mario family, right? We never really met the Mario dad and Mario mom, and
that's because they're all invented for this movie. So.
Yeah, but still, like, at least we got a little bit of that, right? We got a little bit of like, oh, not everybody's super positive like Mario and Luigi. There are people that are actually like, even their own, you know, his dad is not super you know, friendly with him or whatever. And the fact that he also plays an NES in this movie, but obviously Mario, the game, is not part of this universe because he is Mario and Luigi and all that. So I did not think we're going to see a Kid Icarus reference in this movie at all. We did. That's the game he's playing on the NES, you know. So I
thought it was, but I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was like, okay, out of all the ones they could have picked, well, I guess they wanted to make sure they weren't going to make a movie about that.
Yeah, exactly. They ain't going to be Metroid or Zelda because, you know, those are coming down the pipeline eventually.
Yeah. But I mean, there are a few of them that I was kind of like, okay, does this mean we're never going to get a movie about this or that or whatever, you know? So that being said, it's obvious not just by the fact that there is a kind of like an allusion to a character that we don't really see in the movie itself at the end credit sequence, but also because they make allusions to other things, right? The jungle world. First of all, knowing that Mario and DK's like lands are sort of connected in the same universe, like that's kind of the first time I've ever really said that as a matter of fact, right?
Not really, because Captain N had that also.
I guess, but
I mean, that's where this all culminates, man. Once they had the Mario, they had the Mario movie, assume like Zelda movie eventually, and then Metroid, and then it all culminates in an Avengers style movie with Captain N.
I don't know. It would be cool if we can get to that point, but I don't want to look that far ahead and just assume, right?
That or Smash Brothers. I got two options here.
Do you think we really are going to get a Nintendo cinematic universe out of this whole thing? Like, this is what we're building towards?
Have you seen the box office receipts?
Okay, well, I know that, but I'm just saying, like, just to go over this for people that maybe don't, 377 million worldwide on its opening weekend, which obviously includes 2 extra days there because it started on Wednesday. This breaks the all-time record set by a video game movie. Warcraft's was 210 million, and it breaks Frozen 2's record, 358 million. It didn't break the 3-day record. Again, this got helped by the fact that they had 2 extra days. It's behind Incredibles 2 or Finding Dory, depending on who you read, on just behind them as far as breaking the biggest 3-day for an animated movie. But still, absolutely incredible that you had this amount of money getting made for this in its opening weekend, and it's short enough, and it's got enough people that are going to probably see this multiple times that I could definitely see it. Maybe not holding steady, but I don't know that it's going to have this huge drop in the second week that we see a lot of other films, because it has great word of mouth as far as from actual, fans and everything, not from movie critics, but like the disparity between the 54% that Rotten Tomatoes has for critics to the 96%, I think, for the moviegoers. I think that says a lot right there. But yeah, that being said, let's look at that going forward. Now, we know there's going to be a sequel.
Don't worry. Yeah. When the balloon fight movie happens, it's going to be 100% for each category.
They did allude to that as well. So, but yeah, like, we know there's going to be a sequel. It seems like it could involve Yoshi's Island, I guess, possibly being the next ticket to that. Looks like there's probably going to be a DK movie by itself, which would allow you to meet a bunch of the other DK characters, which we do meet some of them, including Cranky Kong in this. And then they pretty much allude to the fact that we could get a Luigi's Mansion as well, which that would make total sense. Let Luigi have his own movie. I think it could still do well. Luigi's Mansion has the precedent of having the games and everything else. So I think it could draw big numbers. I think after that, though, I just worry about Illumination having Metroid or having Zelda. Like, they're not known for having these properties that have these big stories, and we need to spend time with these characters for a while. And I don't know. It's just almost all their movies, like Secret Life of Pets, Minions, Despicable Me, they're all sort of in this style of the way the Mario movie is made. So, like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about Metroid or Zelda being.
Yeah, it'll be like Zelda. They'll have the fucking Octoroks making dumb Minions jokes or something like that. I'll be like, please kill me now.
Yeah, I mean, so they don't make allusions at all to any of those kind of major franchises, right? There's no Kirby. There's no, which Kirby, I guess, could be made in the same style as the Mario movie because it's sort of the same thing. There's not a lot of
Except like
story there.
Kirby is like way less vocal. Like he never talks.
Yeah, Kirby doesn't, but Link doesn't talk either. So I don't know what they're gonna do with that. Like,
he'll just be a silent protagonist. Like no one will comment on it.
Yeah, Zelda will just talk for him the whole time.
Right.
Yeah, like so you don't. There's other. There are other references to other ones that you would have thought like maybe does this mean we're not going to get a Star Fox movie? Like, which that could easily also be made into a movie itself as well with all the characters that you have and everything. But
I hope if they do a Star Fox movie though, they're gonna use the Star Fox lingo and just have it all subtitled.
Yeah, two barrel.
No, that's like Star Fox 64. That's like when they actually had English. Like Star Fox original, it's had like that gibberish shit.
Oh no,
they couldn't actually do speech.
Have that
just had to be that.
Yeah. Have that make no sense.
Right, an hour and a half of that.
I don't think we're gonna build to a Smash Brothers thing right away like that. I honestly think for sure Mario stuff is in the works. I think the other stuff is kind of contingent on how well I know a sequel is probably going to do well, but like, will the DK movie do just as well? Will the Luigi's Mansion movie do just as well? If those do just as well, I think then that opens the door.
I don't think they'll do just as well. I think they'll be less. I mean, they'll be successful, but they won't do just as well.
Right.
That very rarely happens.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they should be expecting what Marvel did for all that, where they had Endgame and Infinity War way up there in the billions and billions, and then even Avengers and what Captain Marvel also made $1 billion at one point, and Black Panther. So, like, saying that all of your franchises are going to hit that is, like you said, is extremely rare. So, yeah, Super Mario Brothers 2, whatever they're going to do with that, you should maybe hope that it hits that. But everything else, I think if it hits maybe half of that or whatever, you should be happy. I just hope they don't try to. I knowing Nintendo and how protective they are, I don't think they're going to go crazy here and start like, oh, this is going to get a movie. This is going to get a movie. This is going to get a movie. I think they're going to go slow. And definitely there's a sequel, but we'll see after that, which is really how you should do it. I don't think you need to have this 10-year plan of having a cinematic universe every time you have one of these things happen. I'm just
waiting for the Punch-Out movie where Mario is the referee.
Yes. Yeah. If they get to go that deep in the well for a Punch-Out movie, this thing really went crazy, honestly. So
I mean, video games realistically are like the last frontier as far as because they've already mined comics to death for the most part, multiple times in some cases.
I mean, just going through some of these, Mark, like there are many video game things, whether as a TV series or could they. Do you think they could venture off into other things besides movies, or do you think they're just going to stick to movies because they don't really have Nintendo doesn't have its own television network to put the stuff on, so
they could do cartoons. CGI is a different story because that's way more intensive, but it's just a matter of how much do they want to spend versus quality. How good do they want it to be? Yeah, but they don't need a TV network. I mean,
no.
Their old cartoons weren't exactly like on Fox or they're just syndicated.
Yeah. But I mean, what do you think? They just throw it on Hulu or something if they?
I'm sure there'll probably be some bidding war, like whoever wants it, pony up or pony up the most.
Right. What did you think about Miyamoto? Kind of alluding to the fact, somebody asked him, when do you think we'll ever see something from the movies in the games? And he said, well, if this does well and there's more movies, there's going to come a time where the movies are going to set the precedent for the games.
He's high. He's eating too many mushrooms. No, like, even if they make a movie every like 2 years, which is pretty unrealistic in the first place, like, what is there new in this movie, not in a Mario game? I mean, I guess you could say like mixing Mario and like Mario Kart, but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also expecting a game to look like, this movie. I think is a bit outrageous as well. I mean, the budget they would have to.
But on the Switch, it ain't never gonna happen.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not on the Switch. I don't know. They would have to put a lot of power into a Switch 2 for that to even be possible. So which I don't think it's going to happen either. I think the Switch 2 is going to be like a step up, but it's not going to be PS5 Series X level step up either. I think people need to get themselves ready for that. Right. So just knowing of things that we know are happening, right? Like Sonic 3, Witcher Season 3 and 4, the Knuckles TV show. There's a Detective Pikachu 2. The Minecraft movie is still apparently happening. BioShock, BioShock. Go ahead.
I mean, I put it in the doc, but the Five Nights at Freddy movie's hitting this year.
Yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's finally has a release date, which is in October, which makes sense. It's a horror movie. And it's also going to Peacock the same day, so we'll see how well it does going to streaming the same day. But I think that says a lot about how much faith they have in that movie, that they're putting it on streaming the same day as well. It's definitely not Mario as far as franchises are concerned with gaming. But we know the God of War TV show, the Horizon TV show, Gears of War, there's Assassin's Creed,
Twisted Metal.
Twisted Metal is supposed to be coming this year also on Peacock.
I mean, that's almost done, I think. So
yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's coming this year at some point. Right. The Devil May Cry animated series, which is being made by the same people that made the Castlevania series. Fallout's apparently happening. Mass Effect. It's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. I mean, they are mining the video game frontier, as you could say. Right. Do you think that this is going to make it to where they should feel more confident in some of these series now that Mario movies showed that video games can do well? Or would you be worried that these franchises are never going to hit that?
Again, it's a different, for the animated stuff, they should feel fine. I'd rather distinction between this and the Devil May Cry show, because that's going to be an anime. Right. But if it's live action, then you should be, I wouldn't say worried, but you should be concerned about how well you think it's actually going to do. It may be fine. I don't envision God of War being a good show.
You don't?
Just based on the nature of the world. I'm sure it'll be fine from Kratos and Atreus, their story, but them fighting a bunch of CGI beasts or whatever is just going to be, boring or pedestrian at a certain point.
I mean, I would expect Freya to also be involved in there as well, but
I think Fallout will be fine because they've already shown set pictures and stuff like that, and that has more of a story than some of these other things. And also, I think that it's also a problem of how faithful. You don't need to be completely faithful. This is a new story for Mario, more or less, but it's an amalgamation of all of Mario.
Right, exactly. It's still the basic story of Mario. Right?
Same kind of with Sonic. The whole human Steve bullshit is new, but Sonic and Tails trying to stop Eggman Robot is, more or less the same in the
and then the Chaos Emeralds and all that, and Knuckles being involved, and but that stuff is in there.
Yeah, but Assassin's Creed, that film was a turd, or the Warcraft movie was a turd, or that new Silent Hill movie will be a turd. So
I don't think we should really say that. I mean, we don't know. The first Silent Hill movie did fine. It was the second one that wasn't,
I mean, even that first movie, it gets by because of its visuals, but
right.
as like a movie or like a story, no.
Yeah. At least it was a bit more faithful to Silent Hill than say like the Resident Evil ones were.
Yeah.
That's
another problem is like how much do they want to spend? Because like that last Resident Evil movie, as a movie, like if you look at the story, they basically combine Resident Evil 1 and 2 into like one story. And they have some extremely dodgy characterization, but as a story, it was fine. The problem with that movie was the characterization of like Leon, and then the $8 they had to spend for the budget.
Yeah.
So,
the budget was super low on that movie. Yeah.
Right. Like they're trying to portray this like zombie invasion or zombie apocalypse, and they got like 7 zombies at the police front gate, and it's like, what? Like, you should have like 7,000 zombies, not just 7. So that was a problem.
Yeah, that's the thing is, again, it's faithfulness matters, right? Last of Us was able to be faithful for the most part, and they told that story well. Yeah.
Except for like the evil chick character, I forget her name. Like that show was like, incredibly faithful.
Yeah. Well, some people would say the clickers weren't in it enough or whatever, but
yeah, I mean that's the only other concern. But as a whole, like the story, like directly mirrored the game.
Yeah.
But I mean, some stuff you can't do that. Like Fallout 3, for example, you can't do that because the game is so open ended that you just need to kind of pick and choose. Like person escaping vault into apocalyptic wasteland. Okay, go from there. But some stuff, like obviously give Assassin's Creed, like not even trying. Like you had a good actor in the role and you fucked it all up like from the get-go. So
I think what also matters a lot is how much do you allow for the original creators to have the input, right? The number one thing that we saw from Mario movie and from Last of Us is that the original creator was part of it. They were big, important factors in this show containing so much of the game.
That's why the best adaptation is Wing Commander.
Exactly. Like that's the thing. It's like if you take them out of it and go, oh, we're gonna go total Hollywood with this, that's where you go wrong. That's where you completely lose the plot. And you understand there's so many people in Hollywood that think that making a movie is so much easier than making a game, and they don't understand that there's so many things that go into that you don't even get to have to deal with when you make a movie. So like it's not just about writing the story and then having it acted out. There's a lot of things that you have to say, okay, how much of this is great because you get to play that, and how much of it is available when you put that in a passive context, does it still work? So I have a lot of faith that like maybe the BioShock movie could do well on Netflix, depending on, they don't have Ken Levine working on it, obviously.
Depending if it ever gets made.
Those things have the stories to be able to be interesting still, but it's just, it all really depends on a few factors. And I hope that they use the positives from the 2 things that we've seen come out this year and say, this is kind of what we need to do with these video game movies, and not just be like, all right, we're just going to put our Hollywood spin on it. Uncharted is already so Hollywood that I don't know. That movie I didn't think was bad, but it was just kind of like okay.
It was bad just because it was like, I mean, I didn't see it, but it was like a weird prequel. Like, no offense to Tom Holland, but he's too young for that role. Like, you look at Drake and he should be like late 20s, early 30s, not early 20s or barely out of high school.
I thought he was okay in the role. It was just like, okay, we kind of got a little bit of the Uncharted whatever, but like you said, it just kind of felt like,
that's why that like Uncharted fan film was like so highly revered, or still still is, because even though Nathan Fillion is too old for the role, if he did it 20 years ago when like Firefly was around, he would have been great.
But I think that's the thing is you also have to understand the property and know that like Mario is such a beloved character from 40 years that you can literally have a movie that plays the hits and it works, right? But not everything has that. And you do have to develop a story. You do have to have a plot. You do have to like bring in some of those characters that people that are a little bit lesser known to give them a bit more agency. Like there's a lot of those things that you do. I mean, The Witcher is also another good example of what they did with those, with the property and be able to make that into a show. So there's examples out there.
The Witcher has at least the books to, fall
that
back
too,
on.
yeah. And then also has an actor that really loves those books and wants the character to reflect that as well too.
Yep.
Right?
So the shit canned him and got some
nameless.
And
then they're wishing that they had him back now because but
got the lessest Hemsworth to be in the role. So good job, guys.
Yeah, definitely for that. So yeah, we'll see. I'm sure it will not take long for them to announce something that's going to be happening with the Mario film franchise in the future with all these records. Yeah.
As far as Nintendo goes, if you discount the Mario stuff, what do you think is next?
I think they'll definitely announce a sequel next. But
that's what I mean by discounting that. Like what's the next Nintendo property?
Oh, you mean outside of Mario?
Yeah.
I think they're gonna make a Zelda movie.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I mean, you have the two big games. If Tears of the Kingdom does as well as they assume it will, I think you had the platform there available for you to be like, all right, let's give Zelda a shot.
Honestly, what I would love is like a HBO or Netflix or whoever, like live action Metroid.
That would be really cool.
With Gwendolyn, I think it's Gwendolyn Christie, I think. As like Samus.
Yeah, I mean, even like Metroid, really anything I think works, but it has to be on the darker side. I don't think you can't do a very light and fluffy Metroid movie.
Right.
So Nintendo has to be willing to kind of get a little bit gritty with Metroid, like you would in the games, and be okay to present that in a movie and say, look, this is going to be, maybe kids can still go, but you might need to be a little bit on the older side or whatever. And it may not be for the, 6 and 7 year olds or whatever, like the Mario movie is.
Right.
So yeah, definitely I'm sure we will hear more about that, especially if the next week numbers roll around and they are not too far off from what happened this week. So
I don't think anything's coming out this week either. So
yeah,
its position is going to be fine for the next few weeks.
Yeah, definitely for sure. At least till Guardians 3 comes out, that will probably be the next steamrolling movie.
As much as it may be good, but I don't think like Evil Dead Rise is going to be like a big hit.
Supposedly has like a really good score right now. Like, I don't think it's going to be a big hit, but there's going to be people going to see it.
Yeah. Or that Renfield movie. It may be fine, but no.
So, moving along from this stuff here, just because we talked about it last week as well. Resident Evil 4 Remake actually sold 4 million copies in its first 2 weeks now, after selling 3 million in its first 2 days. Obviously, people are loving it. The new Mercenaries free DLC came out as well. You did the review already. I mean,
I gave it a 9 out of 10. I finished it. The only thing I didn't like about it, and with the Mercenaries mode kind of fixed it a little, but I talked about this with you online, is like when Resident Evil Village came out, like when you beat it, you had access to like all the infinite ammo guns. You just had to like buy them from like the main menu or like the extra content menu, and you had like 14 guns. This you have 4, and functionally, 2 of them are extremely hard to get. Like, you can get an basically infinite durability knife really easily, and you get the infinite rocket launcher, and that just takes a lot of money to unlock. But, like, the hand cannon and the Chicago typewriter, like, one of them is, like, beat the game on professional on an A rank, which is, like, under 7 hours. And the other one is, like, beat the game on an S rank on professional, and, like, don't save more than 15 times or something like that. And it's like, that's nuts.
Yeah,
Thankfully,
that is.
Thankfully, the mercenaries mode provides an easy way out for the hand cannon. Like, that's the hardest one to unlock. If you just get an S rank on all the missions for that, which is only 3 of, you can just unlock it then. So I wrote the review, and then I did that, and I'm like, yep, this works.
Well, there you go. I mean,
that game's still really good. Like, I mean, from a story perspective, or just like from the gameplay, or it's like set pieces, it's by my still second favorite Resident Evil game.
hey, yeah. I mean, people loved it originally. It's good to know that they like faithfully stuck by it and made another heck of a remake.
Yep.
And
I mean, it's still using like the same engine too, so like most everything works that you'd think of.
Yeah. I'm excited to play it eventually. I just gotta get through the stuff I've got here, and then I will definitely give it a shot because I've enjoyed all the remakes so far. It does look like further allusions are coming for Resident Evil 5 being the next remake that they do, like you were saying. So
that'd be fine, but again, like I don't know why Code Veronica is seen as some like redheaded stepchild. Like,
I guess they want to just like do the numbered games first because it's easier to like connect the stories together, and then when they run out of the numbered games,
they'll redo those again. Like,
they'll just go.
You need to remake Resident Evil 1 again.
Yeah, like I really wouldn't be surprised if they even. We talked about it last week, but I do think that they will remake the first game again because it's not done in that modern style yet, and people do want to like go back and say, hey, I want to go play back the number 1, and then it is a remake, but it's not like those, so it can turn people off from wanting to play it, even though it holds up pretty well still.
But it still uses like the tank controls and kind of, it's not like the recent remakes,
which that puts me off by itself, is like the fact that it has tank controls. It's like, I don't want to touch that when you have, 3 other games and then 7 and 8 that are done in this great style that, man.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want to go back to that. So, you play anything else? Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, speaking of that, well, the other thing I got back my PS3 dev unit because I had a repair store for the past 2 weeks. The entire Blu-ray drive needed to get replaced.
Oh, damn. Wow.
So that was like a nice $150. And then the software on it got screwed up pretty bad. I didn't do it. I don't think the repair shop didn't do it either. This thing was always kind of temperamental. So I had to wipe the drive, which I lost all my games. So it's God damn it. Yeah.
I mean, you can like download them again, right? Or
no, I can't.
No. Because it's a dev unit.
Yeah.
Man,
there may be a way to recover it. I haven't like dug too deep into like the hard drive partitions and stuff, but this thing is a real nightmare to work on. Like, you would not believe. So
yeah,
hopefully I can get it working again. I mean, like with the old stuff on it, but now it actually, works fine, or at least it reads discs again. So that's nice.
Yeah, at least you get that. But it sucks to hear that you lost those games. Perhaps.
Yeah, I know the guy who had it originally, or from like 2 people ago, and I sent a message to him going like, because he said he backed it up at one point. So I'm gonna feel like, do you still have that? And do you mind sending it over?
Right.
Because it'd be nice to have, but if not, I'll just put a whole bunch of other games on, like Gears 3.
Yeah, did you see that they well, I don't know what story to believe on the whole why they did it. There's Xbox event finally stopped people from being able to have emulators on the retail version of whatever Xbox you have.
Yeah, well, like people just like release like Retro Arch and Dolphin as like Xbox apps, so it's like, yeah, I can see why they would want to block that.
Yeah, especially if, again, I don't really know if Nintendo.
I don't think Nintendo threatened to sue them, but it's more just the notion of, oh, buy an Xbox, play a Wii game, or play this GameCube game. Like, I'm sure Microsoft lawyers are going like, no, don't allow this. Like, this will be bad things.
Yeah, like definitely you don't want to be having that be something. For sure.
I mean, I think I linked it to you last week, like right after we finished. But like, Dolphin is coming to Steam.
It is. Yeah,
and
we talked about it.
Retro Arches are already been on Steam for like I think a year or two, and it's like that's crazy. Like, especially with the Steam Deck out now, it's like, okay, like there's a portable GameCube and up to PS2 in your pocket if you want.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, people need to think about that. Like, imagine if any kind of legal, there's that whole TikTok, everybody against TikTok thing, and that whole bill that was put out. And a lot of it is really seems like to be there where they could technically go into your computer and look at anything that you possibly had. And there was, talks about they could do this or that if they find out that you had anything illegal, which would include, ROMs if you didn't have the actual game or whatever. And like, that's the thing is, would you really want that to be on there? And then all of a sudden somebody comes and goes, if you have this on your retail version of your Xbox, we're going to ban you.
Yeah.
So I think they're kind of stopping that before they have to get really aggressive, or somebody makes them have to be aggressive, i.e. Nintendo or somebody else. So it is still allowed in dev mode if you put your console in dev mode, but you can't do it in as far as just like having it out there where you're online and people can see that you're playing and everything else.
My friend is playing Super Mario Sunshine. How interesting.
On their Xbox, by the way. Like, damn, how is that possible? Then, just...
I guess Microsoft finally bought Mario, huh?
Right, yeah. That's exactly what happened. So, yeah, just... It's it sucks to see, but it's kind of understandable again in a way that they did it. So people really shouldn't be surprised.
You and I think take different views on emulation somewhat, but I think that if a game isn't like readily available, or even like maybe not on like a store shelf, but even like online, piracy or emulation, go for it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that standpoint.
Okay, yeah.
That I said the same thing with the 3DS and Wii U store going down. Like, I don't think people should go nuts buying those games, before they went off the store, because that's just Nintendo being greedy. Like, at that point, like, what other remedy do you have? Like, go out and pay way over price for a game, or do that, unfortunately. So do I think it's okay for you to have like a whole Raspberry Pi full of games that you're never going to play just to have it and whatever, and that you don't own any of those games or whatever? Then no, I don't know that is necessarily the route to go either. I don't think it's wrong if this game is no longer available, nobody's trying to sell it or make it available. Like, even what PlayStation did, right, where they made some of these PS1 games, now you can actually just buy them off the store. You don't have to have PS Plus to play them. It'd be nice if Nintendo did that with the Switch Online. I know we're talking about a virtual console thing again, which they don't want, but like it should be available like that. Like I shouldn't have to subscribe to this thing and I can't buy them. Right.
Your problem is thinking that way. The real issue is I bought this shit 2 systems ago with the Wii, and none of that shit transferred over. And it should have.
Well, I mean,
lazy
but
fuckers. Like
none of your PS3 shit transferred over either. Like the Wii U stuff wasn't really working with the Switch. It's not the PS4 and PS5 or the Xbox One and the series. They didn't want anything to do with the Wii U, so they cut it off. But
I just mean like the backward, like the backward compatibility stuff. Like
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a license thing. Like it's obvious why they don't really have a lot of third-party stuff that's not like super obscure on the Switch Online, because right now they don't really want stuff that they have to take off.
There's no home improvement for the SNES on the Switch.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Like I said, I don't think I think Switch Online is great for what it is. It would be really nice to be able to say like, okay, I wanted to buy the first, 3 Mario Brothers games and not have to like be subscribed to this service to be able to play them. But like I like Game Pass, I like PS Plus, I like Switch Online, but they give you the option if I want to buy something that's on Game Pass or PS Plus, I can. Switch, you can't do that, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that being said, we did mention Xbox there. Microsoft again has a really bad retention problem at this point. Now, to be fair, Joseph Staten has been with Microsoft for a total of 18 years between his 2 stints with working on Halo and being part of Microsoft, being part of Xbox, game dev and all that stuff. He recently came back to be head of creative on Halo Infinite. We know how that turned out, especially on the multiplayer side. Yeah. So it really hasn't been something positive at all for Halo. We've talked about that a bunch of times here. Somebody did bring that up, that it's like, does it really? Every time we talk about one of these studios for Microsoft, it's really negative.
Yeah. They want to swallow more up instead of fixing up their current shit. So.
Yeah, I mean, but for the most part, that's positive. You could say. The thing is that they've like made some studios, right? The initiative is new, and then you just had people leaving, and it's like, wow, like what is going on? I talked about this a few podcasts ago about like if you look at all the studios that Microsoft has, how many of them are in trouble, or they haven't really made a game, or they've been kind of like, aside from Obsidian, that has been pretty straightforward with their games, or anything that has to do with Forza, Turn 10, Playground. But now Playground's making Fable. There's rumors of that had to get remade. What's going on with that? Then there's like, no, it's okay, but we just don't have anything to show right now. So, it just depends. And then Rare, like they have Sea of Thieves, but then they have, when they're making something that's not Sea of Thieves, we don't really know what's going on with Everwild. So, we haven't heard much from Hellblade, from oh my god, Ninja Theory.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of their games that are kind of just like, well, let's see what they show us in June, so we can see what's going on with some of these games that we haven't heard a lot about. The controversy again with Redfall about what kind of game is it? Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? Depending on who's playing it. So, yeah, it's just, it sucks to hear again that such a huge like creative force as far as Joseph Staten is concerned is gone from Microsoft, and he's apparently doing something else. And I wonder if that's just from he feels like it's run its course, or is it because there's something going on?
I mean, he's probably just sick of it. I mean, he may have wanted to make the game that he wanted, and Microsoft didn't support it, or they just screwed it up too much.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it's just we know what happened with Halo Infinite. I mean, they're working on content, but at this point, it's just like, yo, you waited so long.
I think there's a problem of they've had this a few times where they put an Infinite in the title, and it always backfires.
Yeah.
Like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was supposed to be this 10-year long fighting game, and nope. Or Halo Infinite, same thing. Nope.
Yeah. That's not going to work out the way you think it is. So get ready for that.
Yeah.
I'm sure he will tell the world what he's doing going forward pretty soon. But again, it's another big loss for Microsoft as far as having really experienced creative leads that have been there, done that, worked on your big games and now going. So
right.
Yeah. Not a good look.
Don't worry. Once Tim Schafer leaves Double Fine, everything will be fine.
Let's not go there. I don't want to imagine Double Fine without Tim Schafer. It sucks. That really sucks. So at least, hey, I've been waiting for the one. We've heard a lot of Square Enix is making this game or that game, and they have all these things that they have to announce. But the one that I've been waiting on that we haven't really gotten a whole lot of is these Pixel Remasters. And finally, we have an announcement of April 19th, my dad's birthday, actually. We're going to get these on Switch. And
you can buy him one of these for his birthday.
He does not care about Final Fantasy or video games at all. So, I mean, I don't even know if he's going to see the Mario movie or not. But, yeah, I've said a million times how much Final Fantasy is my favorite series. So getting to have all of these in one set is wonderful. Yeah, $75. I'm fine with it because 6 by itself is worth the extra money. So, and 5 and 4 really. So, there's extra options that are going to be added to these games as well. I should note that are different from the PC and mobile versions that have been out for a while. So that's cool that they're adding these. I don't know if it's necessarily a make good from them taking so long to put these out, but it is cool that we're getting extra console specifics for that. So yeah, what is it that they're adding? Obviously, the rewind feature or fast forward feature that's in almost all these RPGs that get brought over now. The getting to switch between the different kinds of music, which obviously Final Fantasy has fantastic music. Both Marc and I have played and reviewed Theater Rhythm at this point. You can also change the font, which apparently was a problem. They've now added this pixel-based font that's gonna more closely resemble what it should look like when you have a remaster getting put out there, which I guess that's cool. And then you can turn off random encounters, which that helps a lot when you want to get through an area and you're kind of stuck. And you can also boost experience up as well by 4 times, so you don't have to grind, which I'm always down for stuff like that, especially in these older games where they did not care about whether you had to grind for hours or not. So
that's where the game length came from, So
yeah, exactly. So that's cool that's finally got a release date. It's in about a week and a half now, so it'll be out there. I don't know if I'm gonna buy day one or not. Obviously, these are old games. I don't need to rush out and buy them, but I'm definitely going to get them at some point here. A bit of sad news as far as both you and I like these Alice games that American McGee made.
Yeah.
I'm more familiar, obviously, with the second game, Alice the Madness, than I am the first one because the first one was like PC only. So
I think it came to consoles eventually.
Yeah. Well, no, it came as part of like Alice the Madness, like inside that.
Madness Returns as like the
Madness Returns,
deluxe edition. But I think eventually, at some point, it just made that for free. Like they were just like, they don't care.
But he was for a while like trying to get like either a remake of the first game or just an Alice 3, possibly getting made by EA. And he said after several weeks of review, EA has come back with a response regarding funding and or licensing for Alice Asylum. And they have ultimately decided to pass on the project based on internal analysis of the IP, marketing conditions, and details of the production proposal. And that EA sees the Alice license as an important part of EA's overall game catalog, and that selling or licensing it isn't something they're prepared to do for the present. And McGee says he's exhausted every option.
Yeah.
So
that I don't believe that Alice is like some important part of EA's grand plan. It's like the fuck it is.
Well, no. They mean like the back catalog as far as like, having that available so people can play
but like they're not going to do anything with it ever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they pretty much just admitted to that, like saying it's not worth us investing in making a third game because we don't see the value in that.
It ain't gonna sell, or it ain't gonna sell as much as they want it to. So screw it. I mean,
what it is them basically saying we don't want to have to give up the whole Alice catalog, as in we're going to give 1, 2, and a potential whatever other games come out, and then what if it does become a hit and then we don't have the rights to that anymore,
right?
So it's like, if we're not going to make it, then nobody else is going to make it, which sucks.
Sure, but I mean, he could. Well, as a problem or a condition of the story, also, I mean, American McGee said he's basically like leaving game development.
Yeah, which really sucks as well.
Kinda, but like, aside from Alice, dude has not made that many good games.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like Grimm or fucking Scrapland set the world on fire. No. Like, even if EA was going to make another Alice game, why would they make it with this guy? I mean, it's not like his name was even on the second game.
Yeah. I mean, his name wasn't at the front of the second game, but
right.
I
mean, it wasn't called. It was just called Alice Madness Returns. It wasn't American McGee's Alice, Madness Returns.
Right. Well, because I think if you put the American McGee name in there, it confuses people, and they don't understand that it's like the same kind of thing.
I mean,
but
he can make another, if he wanted to. He can make another game based on another fairy tale, or, I mean, for a while he was talking about doing like a Wizard of Oz game. Or, Cinderella, or Aladdin. There's a million different fairy tales out there. But I don't think he is competent enough as a guy nowadays to really pull that off.
Yeah. I mean, that, like, Alice world that he created is really cool. Like, whether it's the enemies, the ambiance, the world is like really awesome looking, like something that Tim Burton could have done as well. Like, I love seeing that. I hate the fact that we wouldn't get a third game, because it would be awesome if we did, but unfortunately EA is doing what they're doing, which I get it. I mean, they just laid off people. Like, we didn't talk about it, but they laid off like 6% of their workforce, right? So it kind of doesn't make sense for them to go and make games that are not going to be selling a bunch of money, because it's kind of counterintuitive, right? We're like, we're going to give funding to this small game that it's not like an EA original or anything. It's a game that's probably not going to sell much, and then
I mean, it'd be the equivalent of EA going like, "Oh, we're going to bring back Wing Commander." It's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah, no. I'm sorry, but unfortunately, I mean, it sucks. Like, this is the world that we live in.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you're not, it's very, unless you just get funding from, unless you're an indie game that gets funding from either Kickstarter, or let's say like the Xbox thing, or PlayStation or whatever, it's very hard to just like do this stuff on your own. And then to expect EA to just go, oh yeah, this is a game we have in our catalog, but we're gonna fund that for you. Like, yeah, we don't have anything that proves that that this is gonna come out and sell really well, and right now we really can't afford that. Like, they're having to really pick and choose now. That's one of the things that they said after having to lay off people, was that they were gonna have to, go through everything and look at stuff with a fine-tooth comb about what they release now, because they can't just be laying off people constantly because things don't sell. So and they already have to do the rebrand of EA Sports FC, which they released that logo and everything this week, so it kind of looks cool. I'll see when it actually comes out what happens with that, but yeah, I mean, at least they're not losing the licenses and things like that, which is important. We'll see when FIFA actually makes one of their games, if it even stands up to that or not, because they keep saying that it's going to, but a lot of that is FIFA just talking BS. But
it'll just be the rebranded PES or eFootball game.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, for sure. That exactly. And then it'll definitely be a non-competitor at all. Just because I just talked about layoffs. Amazon's gaming division also laid off people. Amazon itself has been laying off people consistently. They just closed, what was it, their like book shipper that they had for a long time. It was the company they had bought that was basically there for people to buy books from them, and then they would ship it to you.
Yeah.
They closed that entirely, and then they laid off like another 7,000 people. And then now they've laid off 100 of them are from the gaming division. They did laid off additional 9,000 people on top of the 18,000 they'd already cut. And then I think they laid off like 100 here out of the gaming division. So
I mean, their gaming stuff, they only have 2 games.
New World and
Lost Ark.
Lost Ark.
Which they didn't make. They just kind of translated, I think, or just put on in English. Twitch isn't doing great anymore.
Yeah, they lost people as well.
Yeah. So I think their gaming ambitions, they may have lofty goals at some point, but those goals aren't going to be met, and it's really debatable if they were even achievable in the first place.
I mean, they spent huge money on that NFL deal.
Yeah.
For Thursday Night Football, they spent big money on the Tomb Raider IP, the Lord of the Rings IP, which I don't know how much Rings of Power is really.
I think I saw the report that like only 30% of people finished that show, and it's like that ain't great.
What do you expect?
Yeah. Like, I mean, how many people do you think like started The Last of Us and finished it? Probably 80%
of people. Yeah. Especially considering the numbers that were going along.
Yeah, like Last of Us, like every episode, pretty much like the ratings went up, not down. So
maybe one here or there, but for the most part, from beginning to end, the ratings went up.
An episode can be down, but then as a general curve, it went up.
Yeah. So it doesn't look good for Amazon as a whole. Like It looks like it's like a chicken with its head cut off right now, for the most part. Even Jeff Bezos stopped building on his big mansion or whatever because of all the stuff that's going on with the layoffs. Like, I guess he finally realized that, like, oh man, I don't know how much my worth is anymore. And this also kind of I don't know that he cares about like whether the people got laid off or not, but like, oh, I don't know how much my worth is anymore. So maybe I should stop building on this freaking big mansion because, I mean, not to mention he lost half of it to his ex-wife, but you know, whatever.
Yeah.
On that, but still, feel bad for the guy that's so rich it doesn't really fucking matter.
Yeah, someone break out the tiny violin.
Yeah, exactly. Like, come on, man. But yeah, it sucks. All these layoffs are happening. Whether it's in Games Journal, whether it's these big tech jobs, whether it's just warehouse workers. Walmart keeps been laying off warehouse workers. I mean, it sucks. It just sucks to see this everywhere.
Yeah.
That recession's probably coming, unfortunately. That being said, I think the only thing we haven't talked about is something that came out today. Or, well, first of all, Gamescom is opening night live is back. Duh. No doubt Jeff Keighley was not going to let that opportunity pass, and he is going to be hosting that again. This time it's, they're going to have the full show, not the hybrid show they had last year, so that's good. It's August 22nd till the 27th. I think this is on the 22nd. So in Cologne, so that's cool. Supposedly he makes I think that means probably Sony is coming back for this. So, or it could be Nintendo, but I think he's hinting more at Sony than he is Nintendo, but it could be both. It could be the big three are going to be at Gamescom. Who knows?
Yeah.
But that's cool that we're seeing that with, what happened to E3, and we talked about that last week. And, Jeff Keighley's going to have Summer Game Fest, but it's good that Gamescom is still going strong and happening. You need those in-game events for sure, or in-person events to be happening for the game industry.
Right.
Well, I guess we'll find it, we'll know closer to, we got to have Summer Game Fest first to know what even the reveals are going to be for that thing. And something that came out today, one of these we've talked about previously, as far as like, we know it's kind of in development, just obviously Sega and Atlas are not talking about it. I'm referring to Persona 3 Remake. There's a Twitter user that posted a video on Sunday showing off like what could possibly be some footage of Persona 3 Remake that was shown as part of a internal meeting at Sega Japan 2 years ago. And then also it apparently included some small amount of footage from Jet Set Radio, a possible reboot or remake. And then some other Twitter users posted some watermarked pictures, and Gamatsu kind of got in there and started saying, well, this could be. And the thing is, Persona 3 Remake's been hinted about like several times, so that's not necessarily new, but Jet Set Radio's kind of like not really been sort of confirmed or whatever either. So, I mean, are you excited for both of these games, or?
Yeah, they also had like footage of like Iconic Frontiers, but like a slightly better port or like a better version of it. We'll see, maybe just like HD plus graphics or something. But yeah, I like Jet Set Radio a lot. Jet Set Radio features a much better game than the first one, even though it has a much worse soundtrack. And yeah, Persona 3 would be cool. Like, better than the versions we've had, so far.
Yeah, you definitely need to have a definitive version of Persona 3, because right now that Persona 3 portable port that's out there on modern consoles is fine, but it's not great.
Yeah.
It's still not the definitive version because you don't get the open worldness of it. You don't.
It's just like it's a PSP game essentially. So
yeah, so like this allows you to have like, especially the people that got into Persona through Persona 5, allows you to have another game that you can play and in that style with these characters that are maybe not as well known, but they're well loved in the Persona universe as well. I wonder if this is going to lead them to also remaking Persona 4 at some point if this sells well. But
that's probably down the pipe. I mean, yeah.
I'm sure all the people that are like sitting there going, "Hey, what about Persona 1 and 2?" I guess you can keep waiting.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
those games are like too. I mean, they'd have to like really do work on those.
Oh, for sure. But it still doesn't mean that they can't do it. Like,
yeah,
people are just they really want that section of the fan base there. So, yeah, like that's cool that we keep hearing about this and that they keep wanting to confirm it. It'd be nice if Sega and Atlas just said, "Hey, it's there. It's been in development for like 2 years. Okay, we'll show you something when it's ready or whatever," just to let people, because they didn't announce it as part of the big anniversary of Persona. So it's just weird that you wouldn't announce something like that. But I guess they want to just announce it when it's closer, which totally understandable, I guess, with the way things are going in games at the moment. I think that's pretty much it for this week in games. So a lot of talk with the Mario movie and all that stuff. As far as what is coming next week, there's a few things here. The Tron Identity, which is made by Mr. Mike Bithell, which I know you like him a lot. So that should be an interesting. It's more like a visual novel,
right?
Kind of like puzzle game. It's not an action game or anything based on Tron. So people should know that going in. Also, they remastered that Sherlock Holmes: The Awakened game as well.
Yep.
So a lot of people are kind of excited about that too. Another visual novel, Process of Elimination, made by the NIS folks, is coming to basically tomorrow. Pokemon Stadium's hitting Nintendo Switch Online, so if you've been wanting to get your nostalgia fill on that, I played so much Pokemon Stadium, it's no joke.
Right.
Would be cool to play that again. Not gonna lie. Ghostwire Tokyo is finally coming to Xbox in a couple of days. So if you didn't get to play that because you only have an Xbox, or you just were waiting for it at Game Pass, it's going to be there in a couple of days there.
Yep.
And the Vampire Survivors DLC tied to the Fuscari is coming in a couple of days. And Mega Man Battle Network Legacy edition, the collector's edition, which Adam told me he is reviewing.
Good. I don't want to.
Yeah, so that's cool. There'll be a review of I'm sure pretty quickly here. So that game, I know there's a lot of people waiting for that. I like those games. That's one of those like I might really consider once it hits the sale price and all that. It's not one that I'm gonna go rush out and get.
Yep.
But yeah, at least it's coming. That's cool that Capcom is doing that. And Ultra Pixel Survive is also coming as well. So there's a few things out there as well. Of course, everything the week after I think is when we're gonna start getting some big games, Minecraft Legends and all that. So all right, until next week, everybody. See you later.
Later.
Bye.